Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That was just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Live around the world on the internet at MichaelDukesShow.com and across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or FM translator. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Hump Day broadcast of the Michael Dukes Show. First week of the broadcast year, and we are continuing now, getting ready to dive down deep into some different stuff. Starting off here in hour one, we're going to be down in the lower part of the state here, down on the lower peninsula in the Homer area, talking about some community stuff here. We've got folks from the Homer Farmers Market are going to be joining us in just a hot second. We're going to be talking about some of that stuff as well. In hour two, we're going to get a little bit of a sneak peek and a preview of the legislative session. We're going to be joined by Representative Sarah Vance, who's going to be coming on board. She's represents the lower peninsula here, talking about what she sees coming in the upcoming session and what we should expect from this year, which I guarantee is going to be an interesting year for sure for this interesting session as we deal with a lot of financial issues that we have going on here in the state. So that's going to be in hour two. Tomorrow on the program, we go a little further north. We'll be talking with Representative Kevin McCabe in the 6 o'clock hour and working on some guests as well for the 7 o'clock hour as we get ready, because we are, 13 days away right now from the start of the session. And so it's going to be all Alaska politics all the time here for the next, I don't know, 120, 160, 180, I mean, however many days. Who am I kidding? It'll be till the end of the year. We're going to be talking about this is going to be a huge election year and everything else. I'm glad I was on vacation. I'm glad I got a recharge. I needed that vacation because we're going to be facing a whole mess of stuff coming up in the upcoming year. Quick roundup from around the state on some weather issues, just so that folks know. Pretty brutal snowfall up in Anchorage. They've closed down most of the town up there as they got a record-breaking snowfalls there. A lot of snow up in the Matsu as well, 4 below and white. Up here on Diamond Ridge, above Homer, we got, we probably got another 3 or 4 inches of snow. And I drove down to the Spit last night just to see what that high tide and the wave action was looking like. And I turned around about halfway down the Spit, and I'm like, nope, not going to do that. Let's go home. It was apocalyptic down there. I don't know what it looks like now, but I was there about 40 minutes before high tide, and now I've got to go wash my car now. It looks like a popsicle. It's pretty crazy. Anyway, the latest on the weather forecast is calling for additional blowing snow this morning, up until noon in the southern Kenai Peninsula. 1 to 3 inches, highs, winds as up to 45 miles per hour. That's till noon today. They're also having new, for you folks listening in Kodiak, new blizzard watches. There's blizzard conditions are possible. Total snow accumulation between 6 and 18 inches with wind gusts as high as 45 miles per hour. And that is late today, tomorrow through Friday. So some big wind events and snow happening down in Kodiak, and then all the way up in the interior, up towards Delta and the eastern range south of Trim's Camp. They've got additional accumulation of 2 inches of snow up there as well. So wow, it's winter. That's all I'm saying. It's winter. We're ready to crack into it. All right, so I think that's I think that's all the housekeeping here before we get things started and get ready to go. Let's dive into it. I always love to do community things and community events. And again, for you folks listening up in the Fairbanks area, if you've got folks up there who want to have more exposure for their community things and community events, they just got to reach out. I can't keep track of everything. So you might as well reach out to them and tell them what's going on, which is exactly what happened. I was reached out, Anna Meredith over at the Homer Farmers Market reached out to us and was talking about some of the things that are going on down here in Homer with their farmers market. And so we put together this little cadre of folks to come in and talk to us. Joining us this morning is, we got a full house today. We've got Kira Wagner and Gray Wilson, who are both board members for the Homer Farmers Market, as well as Lauren Jeru, who is the market manager. And they're all going to speak with us this morning as we get things ready to go along. So let's pull everybody into the chat here and get everything going and get ready to go. Good morning, folks. How is everybody doing?
Good. Good morning.
Good morning, Michael. Doing well, thank you.
All right. Let's get started here and start off the conversation with everything that's going on. I don't know who want to start. Probably one of the board members here. Let's start with Kira, since she's at the top of my list here. Kira, tell us a little bit about yourself and about the Homer's Farmers Market and what you guys do here for the community.
Oh yeah, gladly. We have one of the most beloved farmers markets in the state, so it's easy to talk it up pretty much. It's been going for over 25 years now, down on the road to this Homer Spit, and we have 40 plus vendors every week during the summer, and we have some amazing programs that really make sure that we get our local food distributed to local people, either people in need as well as people who just love good fresh food. It's one of the heartwarming things about living in Alaska, when you can be creating your own food, your own local economy. And so it's a real economic core to Homer. It's a little point of pride. There's tons of crafters that sell local art and artisan goods. It's a little business incubator for the community. A lot of, like, the bagel shop got started there, had a little test run and was very popular, and ended up opening up a brick and mortar restaurant. Things like that happen at the farmers market. So not only is it a tourist destination in the summertime, but it also is swamped with locals as well.
Yeah, I think the first time that we ever got a chance when we were coming down and visiting Homer was the first time we ever saw the farmers market, and yeah, it was it was quite a little sight there with lots of great stuff to check out. Gray Wilson is also with us, another board member here. Gray, what's your take on the farmers market there, to just set the scene for us here before we get into some of the details?
Yeah, I don't think I could probably say it much better than Kyra, but I think just the community involvement and a place to go, I guess, is really, I think, what makes it so special. And again, the economic value of it, and boosting small businesses like myself, and giving us a place to, get tons of exposure and so on.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting to see small businesses be able to take off and operate either at a lower level at the farmers market every week, or, as Kira was saying, use it as an incubator to jump into something new, or something larger, I guess I should say, as we go through. Now, one of the reasons why we had you guys on is because you guys are getting to your upcoming annual meeting, but you guys also have some new exciting ideas that you want to pull forward, and maybe some expansion, and looking at some long-term planning. I know part of that has to do with local food distribution, and getting that, getting farm, it's the farm to table thing, right? It's getting the local food to people's table. Lauren is here with us here, and she's the market manager. And I know that you're kind of the quasi expert here on the healthy food accessibility going on. So, Lauren, tell us what the farmers market is doing in the community for that.
Yeah, so we have two primary food equity programs that we run. And we actually had our highest numbers to date for both of those programs in our 2025 season. The first program that we offer is for folks who use Quest as supporting feeding their families. That's a supplemental nutrition assistance program. So folks can bring their Quest card to our market, and we will actually match what they spend on their card up to $40 per person per market. That's a really powerful statement, because they can come back, they can swipe their card twice a week. We have a Wednesday market and a Saturday market. People with eligible Quest cards can come to every single market. We will essentially double their spending power. We have a market-only currency, or a currency that's only spendable at our market. So it ensures that those dollars do stay local and go to our local farmers and our local food producers, and allows these folks to basically double their spending power while also supporting local, which is sort of, doing both things that we love, feeding people and keeping our money local. So that is the first program that we offer. Between what people spent on their cards and what we matched this year, our new record that we're trying to beat is $17,270 of SNAP that was spent at our market throughout the season. So that is money that's, instead of going to a corporate grocery store and sort of floating out of our community, that's money that directly stays into our farmer and food producers' pockets, which is amazing. The second program that we run this year is a partnership program, and that is made possible by the Alaska Farmers Market Association and the State of Alaska Division of Agriculture. So I just want to shout them out really quick, because we could not be doing this without them. But that is a pantry partnership with both the Homer Food Pantry and the Anchor Point Food Pantry. So basically we organize, or I organize with farmers buying produce at market cost, because we also believe that farmers deserve to be paid living wages and should be able to support themselves. So we do not ask for any sort of discount. We buy these products completely at their market rate. We spent $24,450 getting food directly from our farmers into the Homer and Anchor Point food pantries. And that it is always the first food that is picked. Folks love it. And I have not been told yet that we have, given them or exceeded what can be used. We're grateful to be able to offer those two programs at the home.
And those programs I think are great, and especially since the organization has decided, like you said, to double the SNAP benefits and help those folks. And of course, then they're buying local healthy food and not soda pop and something else, or whatever else that people you think they buy with that. So it's good to have good local food, and of course, again, supporting the community. 25 years of the Homer's Farmers Market, which is kind of hard to believe how long this thing's been going. But you guys are now moving into a whole new phase as well, and you're now trying to telegraph or forecast what you're going to be doing in the next 25 years. And that's part of what this, you guys have got an annual meeting coming up. Kira, tell me about the annual meeting and the planning that you guys are doing for that here. Just give me a quick, brief overview. We're going to take a quick break and we'll come back to you here with the deeper details.
All right. Well, it's going to be at the Porcupine Theater this year. We're going to be meeting on January 24th. That's a Saturday from 12 to 2. And we're going to show some local food videos, as well as engaging everybody in the question of what do they see for the next 25 years? And what would that look like, feel like for everyone if we were to own our own property and be building up the farmers market?
All right, we're going to get more details on this in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Duke Show continues. We'll be back. We got more coming up with the folks from the Homer Farmers Market, and we're going to continue. We'll return in just a moment. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio from on top of the world here in Homer, Alaska. We'll be back with more right after this.
running on 100% pure beard power. Oh, also some coffee. We dip our beard in coffee.
Ha, nice beard.
The Michael Duke Show.
Okay, we are in the break right now. We got about 4.5 minutes here before we return to the radio. And so for Lauren and Gray and Kira, it's just me, you, and 60 of our closest friends on the internet hanging out here for just a minute here as we get ready to go. Gray, I know that we haven't heard from you a whole lot here, but did you get your start? You're out at the farmers market all the time?
I am. Yeah, that is. I think my maybe first year in business, I started at the Homer Farmers Market. I believe it was 2021. And it has just been a huge success. I couldn't have asked for a better start. And just, I hope to continue to, as long as I'm doing this, I'll be there.
Yeah. My wife, I was just chuckling because when I saw your logo, I was like, my wife, there's a whole drawer of knives in my kitchen. My wife's like, would you take these to get sharpened? Because my God, I'm good. I could run to town on this knife. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we definitely will have to hook up here in a little bit on this. What got you interested in being a board member and being part of this, Gray?
I think partially due to the fact of being, probably one of the younger vendors, and just wanting to advocate for maybe a little bit different perspective. And with that being a crafter rather than a farmer, I do think it's important to have, predominantly farmers, but I think it is good to have both sides sitting on the board, as well as just wanting to see growth in the market and doing what I can to help, not only the market, but the community itself.
Right. And I think that's important to remember too, that there's a lot of crafters, makers who are down there at the market doing things. We saw everything from handcrafted knives to we were down there. I guess it was a couple months ago. I guess that's how fast the time flies. We were down there near the end of the season and got a chance to see everything from all the fresh produce, which, man, they had some seriously awesome zucchini boats for the win, but then we saw Gray, and we saw, the coffee shop, and we saw the knitters and the crafters, the artisans. My son ended up buying a couple big pieces of art that he wanted to take home with him while he was down here visiting. And it's just kind of a little bit of everything. And then of course, all the fresh produce and food and everything else. That's been, and I'm assuming, Gray, this has been one of the biggest successes. This is again the way that you really got your name on the map, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to note too that, like, with all the crafters, we're not a market that's full of Etsy, or Alibaba, products. It's all made in state by the people, and I can't thank the Homer community enough, for the success of my business, and especially, but just seeing how many people show up to the market every Saturday, every Wednesday, and just the incredible turnout that we do get.
Yeah. And I think, Lauren, you were just talking about, again, I think this idea that, to double the market, to double the value of folks who are on SNAP and everything else. And, some folks do well with that. Some folks can abuse it, but the ability that you guys have to put this together and double their money, especially on an ongoing basis, if they could attend once or twice a week and get their fresh produce all throughout the season, to be able to do that, that's a pretty amazing thing. And that's done by the market itself. They have the ability to do that, and that's part of your mission.
So it is funded also by the Alaska Farmers Market Association. So we don't fund it out of our own pockets this year. We have in past years had it been privately funded by anonymous local donors who just care deeply about expanding access to foods. One of the really excellent things about offering it specifically at our market is that we have, so based on what vendors sell, we have an agreement that vendors enter with us before they're even eligible to accept this market currency that is the SNAP coins. And then there's also internal controls in place. Basically, we have not had.
Hold on a second. I got ahead of myself. We're about to rejoin the radio. That was my bad. So I asked the question before I get carried away. Let's get to it. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show.
The Michael Duke Show. Not your daddy. Wait, sorry. Not your daddy? Ooh, not your daddy's talk radio. Whew. I was scared for a second. Thought we were going down. Here's Michael Dukes and the show.
Okay, we're continuing now. Before we went to break, we were talking with Kira Wagner from the Homer Farmers Market about the future, the upcoming meeting. We got into some good conversations during the break. We'll return to that here in just a second. But Kira, you were giving us a snapshot here. The meeting is coming up on the 24th of January, and you guys are looking at the future of where the farmers market is going to be going. Now, heretofore, you guys have been pretty much in the same spot for years, right? That has been you've been renting or donated by local area, but you guys are looking at maybe something a little bit different in the future. Give us some details here.
Well, we do have a lease where we're at, so we don't own that property. So that is the goal, is to own our own property, giving us the ability to expand, be creative about how we move into the future, and have control over our own property, and really truly be a solid icon in this community without any concerns that we might have otherwise.
Right.
We have a very generous lease presently, but at the same time, it's a goal to become a permanent fixture in town.
Sure. Well, I mean, as nice as the lease is now, what happens in 5 years? What happens in 10 years? Does something change? Does that throw you into chaos? Whatever else. Probably a better idea to plan now for the future and have something on your own hands. Can you give us any details on what maybe a sneak peek of what you guys are going to, talk about or present at the meeting so that people can be piqued to come down and see for themselves?
Yeah, well, of course, our first and utmost goal is just to hear what the farmers market means to everybody. Like, what are what are the stories that everybody has, but mostly what is it that people look for when they go to the farmers market, so that we can most effectively address those kind of issues and needs when we are looking for a new property and when we're trying to identify what we're going to prioritize. But finding out what those things are from everybody, getting feedback on what everybody's priorities are. It's just going to be pretty much a community conversation. We'll have some very specific questions lined out and have people going around the room answering the questions, and sharing those goals so that we are addressing what the community wants rather than just willy-nilly getting a spot.
Right. And it's the community, but I think it's also, a chance to, as you said, the tourism season and everything else that has a big impact. Now, Gray, I imagine there's not a lot of tourists out there who bring a drawer full of knives to be sharpened or anything else, but I imagine that you probably get some exposure to a lot of folks out there as well, who come in. How much of an impact do you think that tourism aspect has on the market from your perspective?
I think it's fairly large, and surprisingly enough, I don't know how many customers I had last year that were sailing into Homer and had their sailboat in the harbor and brought me their knives from their boat, or people in their RVs, that sort of thing. And along with that, I sell for local makers, and just directly from my perspective, I would say, a good third of my business is tourism. And with that, I think, we can tell on days where, we can tell directly when the cruise ship's in, and, when it's a big day in town, we see it directly in the market. But with that, I do think, the direct community, the Homer community itself, or even, the peninsula, again, a ton of customers come in from Soldotna and Sterling and even Anchorage. And so I was pleasantly surprised at how far of a reach we get at the market.
Yeah, I know it's pretty exciting to see, the kind of the community coming together and this kind of thing. And this is a community organization that's been around for a long time, and you guys are self-funding and, of course, funding with the vendors and everything else. We were talking with Lauren during the break about the program that she discussed, the SNAP program, where they were doubling the SNAP benefits. In some years, you guys have paid for the doubling. In other years, the Alaska Farmers Market Association has done so as well. So this is more community things coming together to help the system than necessarily, looking for another grant or the government handout or whatever. This is, folks coming together, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. We have community members, when there have not been funds available from the Alaska Farmers Market Association, for example, we have local community members who just believe in the power of this program, and believe of the dual benefit of this program, right? You're feeding people, but you're also supporting local growers and makers. And like bakers. So yeah, we're really honored to have people in our community that, when in years where we may not have been able to fully fund this ourselves, we've had folks step in and sort of bridge that gap because they believe in the value of these programs.
Yeah. I mean, and again, I think this is a good thing because, again, you're offering them, whole foods, non-processed, like you said, instead of, the old axiom of why of candy bars and soda pop and bad stuff being bought. With this kind of thing, you're getting whole foods and nutritional stuff, and I think that's important. And the fact that it's supported by the community, I think, is a big thing as well. As far as just for folks' knowledge, Kira, the funding and how you guys are funding yourself, could you tell folks a little bit, is this fully community supported? Are you working on any kind of, you're obviously got, some grants from the Alaska Farmers Market Association, but are you guys working mostly on local donations and just the revenue from the market itself? Talk a little bit about that before we get into the farmers.
Yeah. Well, we do have fees for being at the farmers market. So our baseline budget is supported by the farmers who participate in the crafters. We do search down grants just to see if there are more programs that we can add to the what we have going on. And we do get a lot of generous donations locally. A lot of our programs that are ongoing, like the kids activities, things like that we can support at the market every week, get support from local donors as well. So we have a combination of all of that. It's one of the most effective business plans as far as a nonprofit goes that I've seen, because it does have that baseline funding and then can grow beyond that too, with support from the community and support from different grants as we go along.
Now, when we think about agriculture, of course, I come from the interior. So when we think about agriculture, you're thinking, Delta, Fairbanks, Matsu. I mean, those are kind of the bread baskets of the thing. When you think about Homer, you're thinking more about mariculture and the sea and things. But there's quite a bit of, I was surprised at how much local growing and farming there is down here on the lower peninsula. Tell me a little bit. You're working directly with a lot of these farmers. Tell me a little bit about how that folds into what we're doing here.
Oh yeah, it's a real point of pride. We have very small farms down here. Often they're actually producing all of that wonderful food on an acre or less. Some of our biggest farms are less than 10 acres. So these are very intensive market gardens, market farms that are have a lot of diversity. A lot of work goes into them. I've organized a lot of tours to go visit these farms because they're also beautiful and they often take a lot of labor. So that is one thing that our tourist economy has helped support. Sometimes there's a lot of kids that come up and want to work on a farm for the summer, so that helps sometimes, but labor is definitely an issue. So the costs that these small scale farmers are putting in, they're hiring locals, they're hiring youth, they're bringing people in, but they also have a Like everything's got to be imported. So any kind of machinery, we don't have a John Deere tractor store here. There's a lot of infrastructure that we don't have since we don't have a big agricultural economy. So it's a challenging short season. Everybody's always trying to figure out how to extend that season. But the diversity that comes out of that is just unbelievable. What our farmers pull off and the tons of food that they produce on those small plots of land is amazing.
Yeah, and I got to be honest, when I went down there, I was pretty surprised. Pretty reasonably priced for fresh food right off the farm. I'll be honest with you. I think I got all my zucchinis, all the zucchinis I could carry for $10 or $12. It was quite a thing. And then again, the variety of produce as well is pretty amazing. I mean, it's not just root vegetables and things like that are pretty hardy. I mean, I saw tomatoes and I mean, and everything else. It's nice to be able to just go down, pick up something fresh like that, and be able to do it. Now we're coming down here to the last few minutes before I have to let all you guys go. So I guess just anything that we're going to start off with Gray here, but anything that we missed that you think is important for folks to know about the farmers market, and of course, why they should show up at this meeting at the Porcupine on Saturday, the 24th, to have this community conversation. Gray, we'll start with you.
Yeah, and just a reminder for folks, it is that Saturday from 12 to 2 at the Porcupine Theater. And we will have snacks provided, some beverages. We're going to be doing door prizes. I personally am making a knife to be one of the door prizes. So if you'd like a chance to win a handmade knife, now's your chance. And I think we're all really excited to announce this to the community, and really looking forward to our positive growth, and just being able to offer more to the community, whether that be services or a year-round operation within reason, and just really be able to, I don't know, include more farmers, more crafters, more makers, more community members as well. So.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Lauren, give us your thoughts here as we get ready to wrap up. Anything that we didn't touch on that you think is important for folks to know, and of course, encouragement to attend the meeting.
Yeah, I think that we covered a lot of really important highlights of what we've been up to and what what our role is in this community. As for encouragement to attend, I would really like to say, we did talk a lot about tourism, and certainly tourists visit our market and frequent our market, but the backbone of our market is actually local people. We get people who come every week, we get people who come every day, and so ultimately, this market, we're very community built. We have been since our inception in 1999. And we would not be where we are, and we would not be what we are without our community. And so with our community being such an integral part of who we are as an organization, that's why we're really looking to have these community conversations and involve community members and market goers in these conversations as we do look at our next 25-year plan. So I want people to know that, although we welcome anyone, we welcome tourists, of course, we're really looking to hear from our community and make them a really important piece of how we move through this next phase of what we're planning, because they're what has built us. I mean, ultimately, we wouldn't be here if our only customers were tourists. We would have fizzled out a very long time ago. And we really, really value our repeat customers, our local customers, and we really want their input in this process. So if you're available, if you have interest, if you love the market, if you go to the market, please come. We want to hear from you.
All right. Lauren Jeru, marketing manager there for the Homer Farmers Market. Finally, back to Kira Wagner again. Kira, I mean, this is, again, a good thing. And of course, looking into the future with your own property, the opportunity to expand, to have more vendors, to have more farmers, more crafters and makers there. This is a good opportunity. Anything else we missed? And then, of course, the exhortation for folks to come out and join you on the 24th.
Yeah, I think it's pretty self-explanatory that the farmers market is a wonderful aspect of the community, but this Saturday event will be just like the farmers market, fun. We get from the community, like at each market, the community supports our farmers, but at the same time, farmers and everybody give back. And so, like Gray said, we'll have a bunch of door prizes, videos, some fun stuff going on as well. So it'll be like a little taste of summer in the dead of winter.
Little taste of summer, which we need. And I hope the snacks are all fresh produce. That's all I say. That's all I can say. Wait, no, maybe that's the wrong time of year for that, but that'll be fun. All right. Again, the Homer's Farmers Market, again, their annual meeting, the 24th, Saturday the 24th from noon to 2 at the Porcupine Theater. Come on out and give your input, hear what they're thinking as a board and as an organization, and then give your input as well so they can help plan it for the next 25 plus years of the Homer's Farmers Market. When's your guys' first, curious, when's the first day of the market this coming year? Do you guys have the schedule already up already?
It'll be Memorial Day. Memorial Day weekend.
All right, Memorial Day, because I'm looking forward to getting some stuff. I miss that fresh grub. That's all I'm saying. So it's going to be it'll be fun times to do it. So Gray and Lauren and Kira, thank you guys all for coming on board and joining us this morning and talking about this. And we look forward to seeing what the farmers market does here in the future. Appreciate you guys coming out and being part of it with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. All right. So again, Saturday the 24th, noon to 2. If you don't have anything else going on and you want to help give your input on something that's important to the community, mainly the talking about the farmers market, that's where you got to do it. We'll be back with more. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio.
We're broadcasting live through a series of tubes, allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet. Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sorry. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay, back in the break. I see Kira's still with us here. Anything else, Kira? You all good? Anything else you want to throw out?
That was awesome. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity, Michael. That was great.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys coming on, and I appreciate what the farmers market does and everything else. I think it's important for folks to stay connected in the community, and I think that those these kind of gatherings are a lot of fun, and it'll be good. So, all right. Well, thank you so much, Kira. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
All right. Kira Wagner with the Homer Farmers Market. All right. Ooh, man. It's making me want the summer already, especially after all this snow and everything, nastiness and everything else. All right. Let me go back here to some of the comments to see what's going on. Frank asked if they would own their own property, would that property be tax exempt? I would imagine so, because they're a nonprofit. So I imagine that there'd be some kind of tax break on that. So I'm sure that that's probably as well. Melody said, this is a fantastic program that I believe is used by most farmers markets across the USA. I think it's a great idea, especially since, as they were saying, many times it's community supported. It's not just the Farmers Market Association that's helping to fund it. It's something that's great. Oh, she also said her sister runs a farmers market in Southern California, and they offer the same program. And yeah, I think it's a great way to help families who are already on the program, and again, prevent them from buying soda pop and candy bars and other things that, to eat healthier. That's the important part as well. She also said that she frequents the farmers market when she's visiting Homer. Yeah, it's always kind of a fun little deal. William says, we've got a pretty cool community garden here in Skagway. It's nice to be able to benefit locals and get actually fresh stuff. I know, right? That's the thing. That's the thing. We need that that fresh stuff is what we're looking for. It's a good. Renee said, "Is there a lot of organic food to choose from?" Yeah, it's all organic. I mean, it really is. These are all, again, small these are not big farms. These are all pretty small farms, and I don't know if it's labeled, government approved organic, but I guarantee you they're not out there with sprayers and pesticides and everything else. Oh man, the zucchinis were so amazing. That's all I got to say. And huge. Oh, so I love zucchini boats with sausage and like a breading and sausage and chunks of zucchini inside that you scoop out the zucchini. So it's like it's a shell with just the outside, and then you just put all the stuffing and sausage in it, and then you bake the whole thing. Zucchini is the only squash I'll eat. It's delicious. Absolutely delicious. Willie talking about COVID. Yeah, I know they had stupid rules when it was COVID, but we got to move past that, Willie. That was 5 years ago. At some point we have to move past that, okay? And just keep going on. Rick said, what if the state invested half the amount of money that they invest in education programs? Food is pretty important. Farmers support them because without them, yeah. I mean, Rick speaks from experience as a farmer. I know it's a lot of labor. It's a lot of work. And you farmers out there, that's a tough deal. I mean, that's a thankless, tough job for very, very little return in the long run. So it was good. Terry asks, how was your movie night? Was there good attendance? The house was packed. It was huge. It was a huge amount of fun. Got a chance to see a lot of people. We gave away a few more tickets. And it was so great, man. It was so great. Talking, getting a chance to see all those people at Christmas and to watch one of our favorite Christmas movies up on the big screen like that. I think we'll be doing that every year, quite honestly. It was that kind of fun. Melody said there's also a community garden in Wasilla, across from Wasilla someplace. I don't know. It's across from Wasilla. Ken says, I used to grow boxes in my crawl space. Oh, I use grow boxes in my crawl space. That's a whole different kind of crop, Ken. That's not the one we're supposed to talk about. Right? I'm just kidding. Frank said, I've been growing English cucumbers and tomatoes next to my boiler for the last 2 winters. That's a good use of all that excess heat. I'll be honest. That's a good use of all that excess heat with some grow lights. That's a good spot to make that kind of stuff go. I love me some cucumbers and tomatoes too, baby. Whew. Love it. All right. Well, we're coming up on it here. We got to go. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free thinking radio.
The Michael Duke Show, proudly splitting the left versus right dichotomy. Yeah, I had to look that word up too. I don't think it means what he thinks it means. Here he is, though. That guy, Michael Dukes, the one with the show.
That was a lot of fun. I love talking about community stuff like that. I just love being part of a community. And dealing with things like that. We don't get enough of that on the program. And that was something that one of my New Year's resolutions was trying to, maybe do a little bit more of that. It might be easier because down here in Homer, it's a smaller population, fewer people. We're the only radio station, yada, yada, yada. But I wish folks up in the Fairbanks area would reach out to me and keep me informed and maybe plug into some, nonprofits like the food bank or like the farmers market, onto the program. I'd love to highlight some of the things that are going on here as well. So it's, I'm hoping that we'll get more interest from up in the interior. You guys listening in Fairbanks, I know you guys have got a farmers market. I know that there's a lot of great opportunities and community organizations up there that we should be talking about, and I think it's important. All right, so I wanted to highlight something here. We only have a few minutes. We're going to be joined at the top of the hour by Representative Sarah Vance, who is going to come on board with us and talk with us about the upcoming session. And we're going to talk with her about the details, the fiduciary issues. Is there going to be a fiscal plan? What kind of craziness is going to happen up down there in Juneau? That'll all be up in hour 2. But in this last segment here, a couple things I wanted to touch on. First of all, we mentioned it yesterday, but we didn't get into any of the details. Formal charges have been filed against Senator Rob Yunt. These are charges in the Republican Party, this is not a criminal thing. It's the Republican Party. Districts 27 and 28 of the Alaska Republican Party received formal charges against Rob Yunt pursuant to the rules of the party itself. According to the rules, there's several things that any candidate or elected official may be sanctioned or censured for. And so Yunt is charged with, quote, failure to adhere and uphold the Alaska Republican Party platform, unquote, and engaging in conduct contrary to the principles and priorities of the Alaska Republican Party rules. And so the party is going to, I guess, revisit this as a whole. And if they find that he's guilty, he may be disciplined with a formal censure by the party, declaration of ineligibility for party endorsement, withdrawal of political support, prohibition from participating in certain party activities, an official and public declaration that Yunt's conduct and voting record contradict the party's values and priorities, according to Must Read Alaska. Now, I only highlight this because, so what? I mean, I don't mean that in a way that I disagree or agree with but I mean, at some point I'm like, so what difference? I mean, to quote our fame, what difference does it make? Okay, so you're going to censure him. You're going to sanction him. I mean, the same thing happened to Gary Stevens. The same thing has happened to Lisa Murkowski time and time and time again. What difference does it make at this point? Which it leads me to another article that came out yesterday, late yesterday in Must Read, and it was an opinion piece by Zach Gottschall, who is a former vice chairman of the Alaska Republican Party. He's a retired U.S. Army intelligence officer, former vice chair of the Alaska Republican Party, commissioner on the State Commission for Human Rights, and a small business owner. Okay, so he's got some credentials there. He writes an article which I think is so on target with what's happening in the state of Alaska and what's wrong with the Republican Party. Now, this contrasts the article that we talked about yesterday in the Watchman, where there was an article from I've forgotten the name of whoever it was that wrote the opinion piece, talking about if you want change in the Republican Party, then join the party and press for change. That was Paul Bauer. That was who that article was. This article by Zach Gottschall over at Must Read, cowardice is not leadership. Inaction undermines accountability for our party's future. This article deserves its own. I mean, its own whole segment and probably most of an hour to go over, because it really lays out what the problem is with the Republican Party and what needs to be changed in the state of Alaska. Time and time again, Alaska Republican Party leadership has failed to act decisively or meaningfully on any of these formal actions that we were talking about earlier. And he goes on to talk about the role of the party leadership, what's been going on, why people are frustrated, or who are maybe leaving the party or becoming ambivalent to what the party says or does. In my mind, and I've said something similar to this in the past, where I think, the Republican Party is in danger of basically driving their own bus into irrelevancy, right? Because sometimes people are just like, well, they don't seem to care. They have these principles, they have this platform, they have these belief systems, and yet they allow any Tom, Dick, or Harry to jump on board and kind of besmirch the reputation of the party, or poo-poo the party's platform with no repercussions. The one thing that I think people need to understand is that these parties are essentially clubs, right? The Democratic Party, the Republican Party, the Libertarian Party, up until now, the Alaska Independence Party. These were all, they're clubs. And like any other club, you should have the right to kick members out, or not to, if the members don't follow the rules of the club, or you've come together under a certain banner, you have a platform or a code or a charter that the club runs under, and if people continue to violate the principles of that club, then you have not only the right, but you have the responsibility to take those people to task, to remove support of the club, to kick people out, to take strident, strong actions. And what we've seen is a whole lot of nothing come out of the main party. One of the things, here it is. House district committees, this is from the article, House district committees are not advisory bodies. They form the foundation and majority of the state central committee, which serves as the governing body of the party between state conventions. When district committees act, they're expressing the will of the grassroots, the very authority from which party leadership derives its legitimacy. Ignoring that will is not leadership, it's abdication. There is some tough stuff in this article. And like I said, we need to dive down into this. And I think it'd be interesting to have a conversation with Zach Gottschall. I might try and reach out to him as well to discuss this, because he's saying things in a way, and especially with some authority, having been a vice chair of the party, that I just don't have. But we'll see. Sarah Vance is up next. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio. Okay. Sorry, I was just reading the comments. Richie said they're all ego-driven, self-centered social clubs. That's you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all on that. All right. Let's see. The coolest things, I grow up on the mountain, is fruit trees of all kinds, but white peaches are my favorite trees to grow. Oh, man. White peaches? Oof. Sounds delicious. let's see. Brian says, I think you've done a really good job of showcasing and highlighting the local community. We're working on it. I mean, I'd love some folks in Fairbanks to, reach out and, because again, I don't have time to chase down a bunch of folks, but I mean, if they reach out to me, I love putting community stuff on the air like that, having a meeting and having a conversation with the folks who run a farmer's market. That just sounds like fun. Terry said the districts did not vote on that complaint, the one about Yunt. There's a lot of misinformation about that vote. Just got the info from my district secretary last night. Yeah, well, again, that's also part of the problem, Terry. How much of this is just kind of political infighting and bickering amongst the, you don't see a lot of that coming out of the Democrats. I mean, I don't like their policies, but boy, we could take a page out of their book when it comes to working together in a common fashion. It's not very often that they eat their own. You know what I mean? Whereas the folks on the conservative side of the aisle, that's like a part-time job, is just eating their own all the time. Fat Ray says, okay, what other recourse does the party have? Can't boot him. Subversive judge made sure of that. Primary him. I mean, I don't know, Fat Ray. I mean, I would say that probably, yeah, primary him. Find another candidate who's viable and pour every bit of resource you can into it. If that's what the case is. I mean, like I said, Terry just said there's a lot of misinformation about it. I don't know. But it's just crazy. Richie says all the censuring and other BS is nothing more than yard barking and low-grade political theater to make it appear that they're holding these clowns to some standard. While you read that, if you listen close enough, you can hear Charlie Brown's teacher talking. I'm sure that there is some of that as well. I'm sure that there is, Kevin says, I'm confused. Many are saying Republicans need to take action. And when they do, only thing they can do. Oh, when they do the only thing that they can do under the current structure, everyone calls BS. Yeah. No, it's interesting. I'm done with the Roman style government. We need a revolution. I don't think I would call for that overall, Ken, but that's just me. That's just me for sure. All right. We are about 2.5, 3 minutes here from rejoining the radio and getting things ready to rock and roll. It's been a hot minute since I got a chance to talk to Sarah Vance. And so let's get caught up real quick and see what she's got going on. We'll get her squared away here this morning. Hello there. How are you?
Good morning.
Happy New Year. How was your holidays?
It was so nice. Just be at home with family, taking it easy.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy around here. I think it was 14 days or so of vacation for me overall. And I think I left the house once, maybe twice the whole time. I just basically just kind of, caverned up and hibernated and watched a lot of movies and slept a lot, ate a lot of food. It was an amazing time for sure. But it was just a great Christmas season overall. Great Christmas time.
Well, and we finally have snow.
Right. I know it was a little weird we didn't really get snow till after Christmas, but it was kind of crazy, the amount of the lack of snow leading up to it, and then the amount of snow that we've got now kind of makes up for that. But yeah, it was a great holiday time and a great time with family, and we did well. It was good. And you had your big trip. You're back now, and that was a good time as well.
Well, you mean the big trip to Ireland in October? Yes.
In October, yeah. I think we may have talked once since then, but that was on my mind the last time that I was thinking about giving you a call or bringing you on the program. Was the Ireland trip. That was a lot of fun, I'm sure.
It was, and my mom found the recipe for the brown bread, And I think she even went online to buy the specific grain so that she could recapture the flavor of the brown bread that you get at every pub, every cafe. They hand you brown bread. It was amazing with the
That's
Irish
awesome.
butter. You have to have the Irish butter.
Oh, Kerrygold Irish butter has got a place of
Yes.
reverence in our home. I'm telling you right now. All right. Well, let's. We're going to put you back in the. We'll put you back in the green room right now. We're about to jump back into it. Don't go anywhere. All right, folks. That's it for this hour. We got more coming up. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty based, free thinking radio. Let's do this thing. Here we go.
Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere. I don't understand. Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That's just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Live around the world on the internet at michaeldukeshow.com and across the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and translator. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the program. Hump Day. How did we get to Wednesday already? I mean, it's just, man, I was just telling somebody this last year it was rough. It was brutal, but it was fast. I mean, if there's anything good about it, I guess it was quick. A lot of work, a lot of things, a lot of stuff going on, but boy, it was quick. Absolutely quick. All right, we are ready to go here in hour two. We're about to be joined by Representative Sarah Vance. We're going to get a kind of a pre-session briefing from her on everything that's going on. Session starts in 13 days, so just under 2 weeks. We're about ready to dive into the deep end of the pool there, and we'll be dealing with all that stuff. Meanwhile, tomorrow on the program in the 6 o'clock hour, we'll be joined by Representative Kevin McCabe from up in the Matsu, and I'm working on seeing if I can get Frank Tomaszewski or somebody, or Will Stapp or somebody from the interior. I'd like to get kind of a full, lay down. Next week, they're going to be busy moving and getting up there, and next week's going to be tough to talk to a lot of legislators because they're going to be in the process of getting to Juneau and getting things set up. So hopefully we can get some more conversations going on that. Quick housekeeping. Of course, the weather has been wild, to say the least. The last, in Matsu, the last month has been crazy. Currently 1 degree here in Homer, 0 in Anchorage. It was a little below the 0 mark in Wasilla. With some snow. They had more snow. Anchorage is kind of shut down with all the snow that they got. They got a record-breaking amount of snow yesterday. We had a considerable amount of snow here, and there's still a winter storm warning in effect for the Kenai Peninsula borough. Additional 1 to 3 inches possible, with wind gusts as high as up to 45 miles an hour. That's for the southwestern Kenai Peninsula and the Ketchimak Bay. So going to be an interesting drive to Soldotna today. Also, a little further south down in Kodiak, for you folks listening down in Kodiak, blizzard conditions are possible. There's a storm warning watch. Accumulations between 6 and 18 inches of snow with wind gusts as high as 45 miles per hour. And that's from tomorrow through Friday afternoon. A strong front's going to reach Kodiak Island Thursday and remain over the island through at least Friday. And that will bring a lot of that snow and potentially blizzard conditions. There's also an advisory up in the interior between Fairbanks and Delta, which is the south of Trim's Camp there. Additional accumulation of up to 2 inches of snow there as well. So some big weather happening around the state. And it's going to be we're doing 8 below on Wasilla Fishhook right now. So it's a little crispy out there right now, and snow. So it's the perfect combination of badness. All right, well, let's dive into it here. Representative Sarah Vance is our guest today, and we are getting ready to find out what's going to be happening in this session. We haven't had a chance to chat with Sarah in a bit, and so let's bring her on board and get to and see what the post holidays looks like. Good morning and Happy New Year to you.
Good morning. I love listening to the weather report because I feel like Alaska is finally finding herself again.
Oh yeah, in the way. You know what? I got to be honest with you, Sarah. I'm okay with mild winters. I really am. I'm not hurt.
No,
my feelings are not hurt if there's not 6 feet of snow here. If we get a couple inches or a dusting, or even if I can see my lawn in December, I'm okay with that. I
know that's one of the reasons that you moved to Homer, but we really need snow.
Yeah.
We need snow, we need the pack ice and the bearing. We need the freezing temperatures to get rid of the beetles, and we need more snow for better rivers, for greater salmon runs. It all works together.
I know that the farmers really want the snow cover before they get the hard freezes, to make it work. So, I mean, I understand that there's some, I'm just selfish. That's what it is. I'm just selfish. I'm okay with the low snow and everything else. All right. Well, let's get started here. We were talking during the break. You had a great holiday and you're ready to go. You're revitalized. You're rejuvenated.
Whoa.
Yeah. Okay. Did I go too far? There? But this session, I don't know how else to say it. This session is going to be a hot mess. I could feel it already. I mean, I'm already seeing it in some of the opinion pieces that have come out in the last week or so. I see some of the discussions and some of the talking points, things about education and combining the permanent funds and defined benefits. And I mean, I could just see this is going to be a very, very tough session. Let's talk as you go into this. What are your highlights? What are the big things that you're already seeing that you think are going to be the atom bombs of this legislative session?
Well, the atom bombs are different than the things that we know we have to address, right? I think people are anticipating the challenges, which is good. We know that we have a budget that is really being squeezed. And with what's going on with Venezuela, and then this morning, the United States, stopped a oil tanker that was Russian. We are fighting over oil right now. And we know that President Trump is wanting to lower the price of oil to make it affordable for the rest of the United States. However, that directly impacts Alaska's budget. So we know that that's going to impact us in a big way. We have the defined benefits struggle that the majority desperately wants, and they made a lot of promises. So, that I think kind of cooled down a little bit with the budget. So that's the good news, but it's also an election year where people want to do their best to fulfill their campaign promises. We also have Lyman Hoffman, who has stated that he wants to start a $1 billion bond to rebuild Western Alaska. And when you're talking about a geo bond, it's going to turn into a game of hungry hippos, and everyone's going to want to have their piece of that pie and add their projects to a bond. So if one is introduced, which I anticipate that it would be, that it would only start at $1 billion and only grow from there. That's going to be a heavy decision. And then,
I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt. Keep your thought for where you're going from here, but can you describe to folks what a geo bond is so that they're aware of what that means?
The geo bond would be us looking at a long-term bond that we can, pay off, over time. I mean, put that forth to the people and say, hey, we have all these great projects that we just have to have. We need the money now, right? I don't know the details of the geo bond. Obviously, that's the rumors. I don't know what is anticipated. I haven't seen anything, so I don't want to talk about something that I don't know. I'm venturing into that, but I did hear it from Lyman Hoffman himself that he's looking at that.
Yeah, and I guess what I was looking for was more the technicalities. A GeoBond basically means we're going to borrow the money and pay it back over years, and it may start at $1 billion to rebuild Western Alaska. But as you said, as everybody else adds on and Christmas trees up this thing and adds their projects to it, we quickly could go from borrowing $1 billion that has to be paid back over 10 or 20 years to $2 or $3 billion. That just adds to whatever else we're already looking at. Right. Yeah.
Easy.
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you were moving on. That was one that you were moving on to your next thing that you're looking at.
That's going to be, just that decision itself is going to be a big deal, and one that we should not take lightly without a fiscal plan, because how are we going to pay it back? We keep adding to the budget without the plan on how we're going to make everything work out. And I think that's one of the number one concerns of Alaskans. The other thing that could be considered the atomic bomb is the LNG pipeline. And what I've heard is that the legislature doesn't determine if it lives or dies. However, this property tax issue that Governor Dunleavy has talked about could be it. And that's a big consideration, because the municipalities want to make sure that they are able to garner taxes from that. And that could determine if the project is affordable and could actually move forward. So that's going to have to be a now decision. And what I've seen from the news articles of what leadership is saying is that, we can't just make this decision this session. It's going to take some time. And of course, they're using the delay tactic because, in my opinion, they don't want to see our governor and our president have a win by, starting this LNG project and actually making this pipe dream, if you will, into reality. I would like to see it a reality as long as we have all of the phases. We not only provide Alaska LNG to Alaskans to be able to heat our homes and make energy more affordable, but also export so that we have a source of revenue. And that creates a great partnership and keeps Alaska in the front lines on the geopolitical field.
It's interesting. I saw some of the discussions. I saw part of the Glenn Farn presentation to the was it the Legislative Audit Committee, or was it was it LBA? I think it was LBA.
Yeah, LBA, Legislative Budget and Audit.
Yeah, I think so. Where basically they said, here's what we need from you. And it was taxation and fiscal certainty for umpteen number of years.
What?
Which, yeah, I mean, I just kind of looked at it, scratched my head, and thought, wow, okay, so this is where the rubber's going to meet the road. And I don't know how people are going to feel about this. But that's a new issue that's kind of raised its head over in just the last, 30, 60 days or so, as we get into that. So it's going to be interesting to watch that for sure. But these are all big issues, and every one of these issues revolves around funding. I mean, how are we going to fund? Because again, even a taxation or a tax break or fiscal certainty is either going to lock us in on our current tax rate on a lot of different things, or it's going to mean a loss of revenue, potential revenue that could be there. And that revenue is going to have to be made up somewhere. And we're facing a significant budget shortfall already, right?
Yes. Without consideration of the PFD, we're already, I think, $450 million in the hole. So when you factor in the dividend that is becoming a conversation among the people again, it tapered off. People kind of lost hope, but now they're saying, "Wait a minute, we really need to make sure that we don't lose that." And many of us have been saying for years that the conversation is no longer a full dividend. The conversation is to have any dividend at all. And we've been watching and warning the people that if they don't continue to speak up and hold their candidates accountable to supporting a dividend and figuring out a fiscal plan, then we're going to lose it altogether. And people are thinking that this might be the year because of all of the fiscal uncertainty and the wants and needs. And so I think people need to be engaged in the conversation because they still hold the power. And I think people think they don't, but ultimately, they get to determine who goes back to Juneau, and we have to roll up our sleeves and really figure it out. And so I'm looking forward to this year because there's a lot of things that's going to force the question.
Right. We're going to continue here. Sarah Vance is our guest. We got more coming up. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a moment. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We're going to continue this discussion with Sarah Vance on the kind of a legislative session preview. Where do we go from here? What are the big issues? We'll return in just a moment.
Listened to by more staffers in Juneau than any other show because their bosses told them to. And after what they just heard, oh man, they're going to be pissed.
You're a bad, bad man.
The Michael Duke Show.
Okay, we're in the break right now. Sarah Vance is our guest. Ben Carpenter is in the chat room. He says, the blood in the water is the remainder of the PFD. A geobond is another circling shark. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I said it last year. I said it last year, Sarah. I said it just again a month ago. I mean, I'll be totally shocked if we get a PFD this year. I really will. I think 400 million is on the low side for the current deficit. I think it's closer to 6. We haven't even talked about the supplemental budget, which is rumored to be around $270 million on top of that. So now we're getting closer to $1 billion. Then you add the $660 million, which would have been the $1,000 dividend for everybody. So now you're at $1.2 billion, and that doesn't account for any other tiddlywink or manhole cover that comes flying in on this deal. We're $1 billion upside down before we even start the first day of session.
Right.
And how we're going to go from there. And yet all these other things are now out there circulating that we need this, we need that, we need more money for education, we need more, tax breaks for the gas line, we need defined benefits, we need, and this is we're circling the drain here. If we keep doing this, we're going to be in some serious trouble.
Another important surprise that we're going to have to consider is legislation having to do with the rural health care money that's coming. The money that our delegation secured, that's millions of dollars every year, that has a time limit on when it's to be spent, also has accompanying legislation that needs to happen by a certain amount of time. And so we need to figure out how that money is going to be distributed and what legislation is needed in order to make sure that things happen in a way that is compliance with the federal rules around that money. And so there are quite a few important things to make sure that we have accountability, and I will be taking a closer look at that this year.
Well, we've got to. Again, that's a whole nother, what is it, $274 million
a year for 5 years.
Yeah, for 5 years. I know it's a billion and a half, but it's 274 million plus over every year for the next whatever. And then the state's got to is there a match to that? Do we have to match any of that? Is there a fund, or is this just the straight healthcare? I don't think there's a match, is there?
I don't believe so, but I wasn't able to find out what the legislation is that we haven't been briefed on yet. So that will be a fun surprise here pretty soon.
You got to vote on it tomorrow. Here it is. Don't worry about it. It's only 97 pages of legalese. We have to vote on it in 2 hours. Here you go. Let me know what you think of it. That wouldn't surprise me at all. That's crazy. Let's see here. I'm going back through some of the comments here to see if Ben says, somebody please let me know when you hear the legislature talk about diversifying our economy as a means to more revenue. I mean, it's not even a conversation, Ben. That's the worst part. I mean, it's so frustrating to go. And I was just talking about this Monday, I guess, yesterday or Monday. Here we are. Oil is no longer the big leg of the stool, the three-legged stool, right? The oil is no longer the big leg of the stool. It is atrophied horribly, and we're looking more and more to the permanent fund and now the permanent fund dividend to pay for all those things. And that's why I think that there will be no dividend in the future, because there's no more easy pots of money to draw from. Do you think Lyman Hoffman's going to allow you guys to tap into the PCE for any extra money? Right. I mean, higher education endowment fund, sure. PCE, not a chance. Right.
Who ever thought the Democrats would tap the higher education fund? Can we just say that louder for those in the back?
Yeah. No, I mean,
I never thought I would see that.
Yeah. And the fact that they'll tap that, but then they've got, I mean, how many of that actually, we're going to come back to the radio because that actually leads to a different question, a better question, I think, in regards to that. Let's get back to it. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show, Common Sense Radio.
Public enema number one. Oh, wait, sorry. Public enemy number one, which makes more sense. On the other hand, he's a little bit of a pain in the Michael Duke Show.
Okay, we're continuing now. Sarah Vance is our guest. We were just talking about all these different pots of money. Now, Sarah, I know that we only know a few by name, but I know that there are pots of money all over the state budget. I mean, you don't see them. They're like little buckets, right? Where money's been siloed and it's really not talked about anymore, even though technically all of those monies are available. They're general fund monies, right? But you've got the higher education fund, you've got the power cost equalization fund, you've got some AHFC money, you got all these different funds out there, and yet nobody wants to touch any of that except for the higher education.
Let's pause for a minute. Let's do a throwback.
Okay,
let's do a throwback to Dunleavy's first term when he brought in Donna Arduin and all of the money that was swept. Remember the sweep, the reverse sweep? We asked Donna Arduin, how many funds are out there in the sweep? And she looked me dead in the eye and said, we don't know. You remember that?
I remember that. We have no idea how much money is just laying around in these various buckets of money. We have no idea. Now, again, for folks who don't know what she's talking about, the sweep and the reverse sweep, technically, there's supposed to be a sweep every year where they go out and they sweep all of the money out of every state-owned account, every one of them. And it's all supposed to go into the general fund. And then the reverse sweep is supposed to happen where the necessary funds go back to those accounts. But that's just, it's been pencil whipped essentially for a decade, more maybe.
Well, it has to do with the constitutional budget reserve. Those funds are supposed to be swept into the CBR. That all the leftover money was supposed to go into that we're supposed to pay back according to the Constitution.
Right. There's supposed to be $10 billion in the CBR. We're at 2.5 right now.
That's where the sweep happens. And they've just said, we're going to reverse sweep it, which was, I believe, not the intent of our founders. And they had been doing it so long that the executive branch, when examining the budget, didn't know how many funds. We know now, thanks to Donna Arduin. And then there was a lawsuit by legislators that said you can't sweep certain funds. You remember that?
I vaguely remember that. Give us the
And
deep. What happened?
there
What
was
the decision on that?
legislation that was passed to protect certain funds from being swept. So let's put some of this in context that while our Constitution says there can be no dedicated funds, legislators have determined there are some funds more special than others that need to be protected and shouldn't be returned back to the CBR for our savings. And
Right.
And I thought the higher education fund was considered extra special among the Democrats, but apparently we can tap that when we can't quite figure out how to do the budget.
Right. Because we drew out of the higher education fund this last session to
Correct.
balance the budget, right? I mean, to balance the budget. And let's go back for just a second. The mechanism of you're talking about the sweeps. All the excess money was supposed to be swept into the CBR. Now, the reason they don't want to sweep it into the CBR, and they came up with this reverse sweep idea, was because once it goes into the CBR, it requires a 2/3 vote of the legislature to take money back out of it.
Right.
So monies that could go, and if they have a simple majority or if they have close majorities, which they have right now, very close majorities, they would be unable or unlikely to get a lot of that money back out of the CBR into those select designated, not dedicated, designated funds, right? Because they're super special. They're not dedicated. They're designated. They wouldn't be able to get those monies back into those. And that's why they fought so hard against these sweeps.
Yes, because they don't want to have a conversation with the minority, which has been the Republicans, because we've held out and not given them our vote for the CBR.
And that's the key right there as to why they don't want to see this money swept out of any of these accounts. But there's a lot of them. I mean, I haven't ever seen a complete list of how, but I imagine, in fact, I asked Donna one time, I can't remember if it was on the air or off the air. I asked, how much money do you think is laying around in these various accounts? And I think I was just spitballing at her ballpark, and I was like, 5 billion, 6 billion, 7 billion. And she's like, yes. I mean, there's billions of dollars laying in all these excess accounts, doing nothing, not earning, like in the earnings reserve, or not earning, in the corpus of the fund, not earning, just sitting there waiting to be utilized and used by whichever politician decides that they need to do it. This is a critical issue. I mean, if we're going to do, this is why we need to start talking about things like zero-based budgeting, because if we pulled all those monies back out of all those accounts back into the CBR or the general fund, I mean, I don't care at this point, but if we pulled them all back out and looked at it and said, okay, we start from scratch, we'd have a much better answer. But if you've got $4 or $5 or $6 billion in all these different various accounts, we're not getting a true accounting for what we could do to help balance the budget. I mean, we might actually be able to keep a dividend if, for one example.
Well, thanks to Donna, we do have an account now, and we have a closer look at them. And I believe the last list included more than 40 accounts. I think it's 40 to 60 that were considered very important. And so we have an understanding of how much money's there, but they still want to remain untouched. Do you remember in the Senate the parking garages, the different garages that they referred to certain accounts that they just wanted to keep some money in? We're not supposed to talk about that. There was Donna and her team really had to dig in and find every one of those, pots of money. And so I've been cautious about any time the legislature is wanting to create another fund, a fund to hold this money and a fund for this money. It's like, no, stop it. We just can't help ourselves by doing that. And I think it creates more confusion in the budget.
It definitely does. Because again, it hides the money. I mean, it's hiding the money. We have no idea. It's not accounted for. It's not really considered. And we've seen what happens a lot of times. It's easy to create and hard to disband or defund. We talking with Will Stapp a couple months ago about he had the one program that had been going on for years that had nobody that had served, nobody anything. He tried to get it done, tried to get it defunded. It was only $50,000, I think, when it was all said and done. But they said no, because someday somebody might need that. Well,
Right.
Then reinstitute it then. What's the problem here?
Well, remember a few years ago when I was trying to remove all the abandoned vehicles down here? My
Right.
staff found an abandoned vehicle fund. Now, it didn't have any money in it, but it had been created for the purpose of us prioritizing having money specifically to do that. But, I'm all about helping DOT and the troopers have money to be able to clean up the cars. But do we need a specific fund in the budget for it? Like, that just seems a little excessive to me.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense. So we're looking at this upcoming session. And now we're starting to hear some of the phraseology. There was a opinion piece by Loki Tobin and Wilikowski the other day that talked about a fiscal plan and how a fiscal plan doesn't need to be done all at once. It could be done in pieces, which of course is completely antithetical to what the Fiscal Policy Working Group said. They said that's death by 1,000 cuts, and essentially it'll never get done because we'll get a little piece here, a little piece there. But it needs to be done holistically. Ben tried to do that. The governor hasn't come forward with a full holistic fiscal plan. I mean, are we going to get a fiscal plan at all this year? I mean, what do you think? Because we keep hearing about it, and even Bert Stedman last year said, "Well, next year's going to be rough," but we don't want to talk about it now. Next year's going to be
Michael, it's an election year.
So you don't think that? So we're just going to kick this can down the road one more time?
Well, promises made. Appearances matter. Do I think that there's going to be a true fiscal plan? No. Do I think that they're going to push for an income tax or the education tax, as it's labeled, but it's actually an income tax, a sales tax, the Bill Wilikowski's online tax that he promises all kinds of great money that we know little about. Actually, there's no data proving to do what it is, which, by the way, the legislature is likely going to be dragged in the first week of session to do veto overrides. Let's not forget about that. So do I think that when they mean different pieces of a fiscal plan, that they intend to cut the dividend and also bring in more taxes? Yes. Yes, I do. Do they, we see them include a constitutional spending cap that actually does its job, or the reduction in revenues? No. Do they,
No.
Will it be any of the things that we said that we have to have in order to agree to a complete fiscal plan? The answer is no.
Yeah, no, I mean, they love all the pieces of the plan that do them well. I mean, let's put a tax in of some kind, a sales tax or an income tax. Let's do all that. But the cuts that were recommended, no. The spending cap for sure. Oh, for sure, no spending cap. We don't want to control what they're doing. But and even the Republicans, because the Fiscal Policy Working Group said we need to readdress some of the oil tax because there's still some money on the table there. But they're reticent to talk about that. So I mean, everybody at this point is like, we like parts and pieces, but we don't like the whole thing. So it's never going to get done. It's Ben just said suddenly everyone wants a fiscal plan. How cute. I mean, right?
Sorry, Ben. I've never heard a former legislator talked about more than Ben Carpenter. I told him he did his job well, because people talk about the fiscal plan and Ben's work and how he worked so hard to try to get Alaska to a place of responsibility and, not to be discouraged, because people are talking about it. We need to actually put our feet into action and do it. But I don't foresee it happening this year, because it's difficult for our legislature to walk and chew gum at the same time.
It's difficult for them to You're right. 100%. All right. We're coming up on the break. So we're going to continue here in just a minute with Sarah Vance. We're going to talk a little bit about the minority and what's happening there. Do we have priorities? Is the minority going to create a fiscal plan? What happens in that regard? We'll continue here in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We'll be back. Don't go anywhere. We'll return right after this.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes On Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay, we're in the break. Sarah Vance is our guest. How many Republicans come on this show and say, do you want services or a PFD? There's been a lot over the years, quite honestly, that may not have said those exact words, but intimated those words for sure. I mean, that's the thing that kills me, Sarah. The PFD is fully funded.
Correct.
The PFD is fully funded. It's paid for. Everything's ready to go. What we have here is a prioritization problem. I mean, this is like, I don't mean to start myself on a path, a warpath here, but this is very much like a deferred maintenance issue, right? You've got the building, you've got to maintain it, you've got the money set aside to maintain it, but instead of maintaining that building, you decide to spend the money on something else and you defer the maintenance, which creates a snowball effect and, compounding down the road, everything else. It's the same thing. We have the PFD. The money was there. The PFD was already funded and paid for, but instead of paying the PFD, you decided to bogart the money, to hijack the money and spend it on something else. And now that you've run out of PFD money, you don't know where else to go. Except, of course, well, we're going to get some taxes. Oh, we combine the funds so that we can have a certainty of our draw, which means it'll eat into the seed corn. Doesn't matter if it returns enough money or not. We'll take the draw, even if it eats into the corpus. I mean, we're treading dangerous waters here.
Yes, we are. But I think it's making us ask some important questions.
Such as, in your mind?
What's next? Because it's forcing us to talk about capitalism and socialism. And, that is in the forefront of the news lately. And I don't know why. I'm so relieved that we're finally having that conversation, because we have an entire generation of kids who think that socialism is benevolence. But what they don't realize is that it's taking your hard work and distributing to other people who maybe haven't worked. And when you give everyone free stuff, it's not really free, and it becomes bondage. And the permanent fund is the perfect example of true capitalism. And our dividend is a corporate dividend, and people have reversed that. And so we need to start explaining and teaching what capitalism is and what socialism is. And with Venezuela, on social media, you're finding Venezuelans saying, you don't understand what we've endured the past 25 years. We were an incredibly capitalistic society, and under a dictator who said, hey, we're going to take over the grocery stores. We're going to take over all of these services, and we're just going to give this stuff away. Life will be great. And people that were making several $1,000s a month have recently been making $100 a month. No electricity, no water, right? They were, their life was flipped completely upside down because people believed the lie that socialism was a good thing. And we're seeing that in the United States, especially in Alaska, and we have to wake up.
Well, Alaska has become a dependency state in so many ways. I mean, we've been a dependency state for a long time in some ways, but it's just expanded. And, on the one side, we've got 1/3 of the state is on Medicaid, right? 1/3 of the state is getting socialized, subsidized government health care. On the other side, you got the corporate cronyism of these contractors and these big companies who built their whole business model around receiving government funds and government contracts, and the people who are in the middle, who are in the private economy, are getting squeezed. The ones who don't have any real connection to government, they make too much money to get any kind of social safety net benefits, and they're not connected to the big corporate, kleptocracy from the corporate side of the world. And so they're the ones getting squeezed, especially since the legislature doesn't give two cares about the private economy. So I'm getting pissed now because it's all about the private economy. They just don't care. And so,
and there's a little understanding about it. When I was in committee, Representative Kevin McCabe has a bill that will allow gold and silver as legal tender. Like, why hasn't Alaska done this a long time ago? And we were having to explain that gold, the value of gold doesn't change, and they said, well, it fluctuates, and I'm uncomfortable with that because our dollar remains the same. And I looked at Kevin, and he was so patient, and he had to explain how the value of the dollar doesn't remain the same, that it fluctuates, and in fact, it's weakening. We had to have this lesson in committee with legislators to understand how the value of the dollar is actually less stable than gold. So I think there's a great lack of understanding about how money really works and how a capitalistic society is ultimate liberation.
Well, when you have a state that has a socialist constitution, socialistic component to its constitution, it's hard not to fall into socialism, I think, is part of the problem here. All right, here we go.
The Michael Duke Show. Not your daddy. Wait, sorry. Not your daddy? Ooh, not your daddy's talk radio. Whew. I was scared for a second. Thought we were going down. Here's Michael Dukes and the show.
Okay, we're continuing now. Sarah Vance is our guest. One final segment of the show this morning as we get ready for this legislative preview. Sarah, I know that you guys are working on organization, yada, yada, yada. But I mean, I know there's been some priorities, and that there's an article in the Alaska Story that Suzanne Downing wrote talking about some of the priorities that some of the members have. Is there a unified group of priorities or platforms that the minority is working on now? Are you part of that? Are you on the outside looking in? I mean, things like, election policy or, education, the permanent fund combination discussion. Where are you at on any of this, or, what's going on? What can you talk about?
Well, we did some work, last session together as a caucus, and, we're going to be talking about those again. Everyone's been focused on connecting with their districts, having those meetings and trying to make it to Juneau. So we have, refreshed conversations, especially in light of the budget. We have been briefed on the governor's budget and going, oh man, this is going to be an interesting conversation. But since we have a few minutes, can I talk about some local issues real quick? Because there's some hot nows.
Sure, go ahead.
Well, tonight, the Homer Charter Association is having their meeting at the Homer Chamber of Commerce at 6:00. And I have an idea that they are going to be talking about the one halibut limit that the International Halibut Commission has a proposal, and they're taking comment until January 18th, I believe. There's a meeting coming up, and it reduces the personal use catch for halibut across the entire state of Alaska. That's a huge issue affecting individuals, charter boats, tourism. And I've been having conversation with my fishermen and guys who sit on some of those commissions, some of the committees. And I am writing a letter that says that I oppose that proposal and also support a proposal that our Seward charter boat and homeowner charter boat associations put together that says if there's going to be any reductions in the personal use catch, that it be based on science and region specific. And that I think is brilliant because everyone wants to help protect the resource. They want to protect the biomass, but we want to make sure that it's targeted because not every fishery is impacted the same right now. And I'm going to be inviting other legislators to sign on to this letter so that the International Halibut Commission can hear from us as state leaders on this issue. This is not our jurisdiction. However, Alaskans are in an uproar about this, as they should be.
Yeah, no, I mean, dropping the limit to 1 is going to have a real effect, not just on sports fishermen who are out there doing it on their own, but on the whole industry of charters and everything else. I mean, it just, it doesn't, it makes sense if you got to spend $300 to go out and go halibut fishing and you can come back with a couple halibut but when you're down to 1 and that's it, it really creates that ripple effect is going to be tremendously detrimental to the industry.
Well, and I heard that it's trying to address an issue that's in 2C, which is down in Southeast. It's a big issue, but don't make a blanket proposal that impacts the entire state. Not every fishery is impacted the same. And so we want to make sure that it's region specific based on science because of the impact that this makes. And, it just feels like a gut punch to impact Alaskans who are going to go and feed their families. So I should have that letter finalized today with the snow level everywhere. And in Juneau, my staff couldn't make it in to get the letter on official state letterhead. So we're facing a few technical difficulties there, but I just wanted people to be aware because there's a meeting tonight with the local, the Homer Charter Association, if people are interested in attending that. And then last night, I attended the Division of Forestry had another meeting about an idea for a Kenai Peninsula State Forest.
Right.
There's been a lot of controversy. There's no proposal. And if there was, they have heard loud and clear to leave the Caribou Hills management area alone. And you have my commitment that if there is a Kenai Peninsula State Forest to come forward, that we will exclude that and any other area that they don't want forest management. But we did learn that a designated forest by the legislature provides long-term protections on that land and increases some access. So it's a developing conversation. They're taking public comment until January 16th. And so they want to know, if not the Caribou Hills area, where do we think would be a good idea for forest management to have a timber industry? Right. And we need to grow our own sticks to build houses. And we need to start thinking about that for the future. So I want to remain open to the conversation, but make it very clear. Leave the Caribou Hills area alone. We want to continue to access our public lands. So those are two hot now things that I wanted to make sure that your listeners are able to participate in.
We got about 4.5 minutes here. I kind of want to get back to the platform and priorities, but I want to know, what are you focusing on? When you hit the ground running? Obviously the fishing thing and the forestry thing, but what are the other things that Sarah Vance is going to be focusing on when she gets back to Juneau here and gets started in just under 2 weeks?
Well, I have my bill that consolidates or allows the school district and universities to pool their healthcare with the state. That's still a high priority. I've talked about that for quite a while. And with the cost of health insurance just raining down on our schools and universities, our teachers, being able to afford to live here, I'm hoping that bill is heard and moved because it just makes sense. And I'm also introducing the Fair Tax Act. And I'm hoping to have that for introduction soon, but I'm having some attorneys take a look at that and make sure that I'm understanding things clearly, because I want to focus on affordability, the things that Alaskans are talking about around, the coffee pot, and make sure that we are making the changes that will impact everyday lives.
Right. And the Fair Tax Act, of course, this is the Chris Story, kind of California
Yes.
Prop 13 style taxation schedule that would allow people to pay the taxes on their homes at their purchase price rather than be stuck to the vagaries of the market and things like that. So I look forward to that. Anything else that you're going to be focusing on? I mean, I'm sure we know education's coming back, right? That's going to be a big deal.
Well, and that's why I'm looking at the affordability to be able to keep the teachers, and that's something that will shift the conversation, I think, around our school budget conversation, and really show that we care. But let's do business better, and I think that's one of the bills that can help us do that. I also am focusing on an ag leasing bill. We need to help our growers be able to have an easier process and get land that's working for the people. So I have a few different things that I'm working on that just are making sense. We talk about these high level issues that most Alaskans can't connect with. And so my legislation that I'm bringing forward this year is just kind of where the rubber meets the road in people's lives. And so I'm hoping to be able to move some of those forward. But as a member of the minority, it's hard to tell. But I want to show that I'm listening, and that I really want to impact people's everyday lives.
Last 2 minutes here, Sarah Vance. Final thoughts on the upcoming session and what people can do to help, maybe bring us back on track. Final thoughts. Well,
I want you to remember that you are the governed, and we don't get to do anything without the consent of the governed. And we often feel like legislators are so distant and inaccessible, but most of you have my contact information and can reach me. And if you need help, it's easier if you email my office so that I can have a paper trail and really understand your issue to help you. But we're available. We love having conversations directly with you. And I just want to touch on the GOP priorities. Yes, I've always supported the platform, the principles, and the priorities, including legislative priorities. I want to make sure that people understand that those are things that we need to look at, as a whole, and really understand the full impact of everything. But those are an easy yes to me, because I already believe in the values and principles of the Republican Party. So it's not a heavy lift for most of us. And I don't think it should be controversial.
No, it shouldn't be controversial. I mean, the things that are laid out in that article are pretty simple. But I understand it's got some people's panties in a wad, and I don't understand that. Again, this should be a pretty simple yes for most people who are conservative Republicans. This should be an easy yes. So, all right, Sarah, well, thank you so much for coming on board. We appreciate you being part of it, as always. We'll talk to you again once you get down to Juneau, okay?
Good to see you, Michael.
All right, folks, tomorrow, Kevin McCabe, our guest, hour 1. Be kind, love one another, live well. The Michael Duke Show. All right, final bite at the apple here, Sarah. I can't wait to see this combined healthcare thing hit up again. I know that it had a lot of support from the various districts. So there was just a few districts that were really pushing back against it, which I really don't understand. But hopefully this next go around, maybe, because it saved a significant amount of money. It was a significant chunk, wasn't it?
Yes. And well, it's, healthcare is changing so rapidly right now, but what it does is it opens up the opportunity for school districts and the university to join the state healthcare plan. And I think that just makes sense since we're such a small state, and anything that we can do to save money while offering the same services just makes sense to me. But I had a conversation with Alaska Municipal League, and they support my bill. I worked on a newer version of the bill and introduced a sponsor substitute. So that's online, mid-session I did that, and they support it because it makes sense. And that's going to be a game changer when you have the Municipal League, who's very influential, encouraging the bill. Because I said it, I looked at, they have a plan for municipalities to be able to pool. And I said, I don't want to be in competition with what they're doing. I think competition is healthy. But for our school districts and the university and municipalities, if they want to join, this just makes sense. We need options right now instead of being stuck where smaller schools are having to go out in the market and figure it out. And if this is one burden that we can take off of them financially and make sense as a state, let's do it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it just makes sense. Again, the economies of scale, if the state's already there and you've got, 25,000 people who are already on that plan or in that system, why not just add to it instead of trying to reinvent the wheel? And it makes sense. And it will save millions of dollars if they can do that. All right, Sarah. Well, thank you so much for coming on board. As always, it's great to talk with you. We appreciate you. We appreciate you being on. Thanks for coming on and joining us today.
Good to be here, Michael.
All right. We'll see you later. Have a safe trip to Juneau, and we'll see you when you get down there. All right. We're done. That's it. We wiped the slate clean for today. All right, my friends. We will see you guys tomorrow with Kevin McCabe and hopefully somebody else. I'm going to be working on some stuff today, see if we can get some more folks involved. Go outside, enjoy the cold, brisk weather, and get the snow shoveling. You're going to have to go do some shoveling. We'll see you guys later. Be kind. Love one another. Live well. The Michael Duke Show. Have a great day.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show.